It was a brilliant match, wasn't it? Bayern Munich in the end taking all 3 points to extend their lead to 4 at the top of the table. But it was those comments from Jude Bellingham after the game that has certainly gone global. Accusations of bias from the referee. Hans-Joachim Watzke came out, the Borussia Dortmund chief executive, saying that was a highly emotional situation. This is on Bellingham's comments. He was very disappointed and only stated known facts. Well, let's welcome in the voice of the Bundesliga here on ESPN. Derek Ray joins us. Derek, how is all of this, kind of the refereeing situation in particular, how is this playing out in Germany and what sort of punishment could Bellingham face?
Well, it's still playing out, Dan. It's still a big story and likely to be for a few days to come. I think that it took everybody by surprise what Jude Bellingham said. Now, obviously, it was news to him that there was a story involving Felix Zwayer on the match-fixing front many years ago. Those of us who've covered German football for a long time have known about this story. It seems that an awful lot of people have just discovered this, and we could get into the whys and why nots. But regarding Jude Bellingham, I think that we have to wait and see. There's an investigation that's been launched by the DFB, the German FA, into his comments. They've asked for a written explanation as to why he made those comments to Scandinavian TV. And it could well be that the authorities in Germany also want to have a look, because there is such a thing as defamation of character. And if you insinuate, if you talk about match fixing, if you talk about a referee who in the past has indulged in match fixing, the words that Jude Bellingham used, then you could argue that you are making the insinuation that in this case there was match fixing going on, which I think most of us would say no, absolutely wasn't going on. And if you look at what happened in the course of the game, yeah, there were maybe some controversial decisions, but I think Jude Bellingham is probably going to regret what he said.
Now, the German FA, I don't think, helped their officials out that much, Derek, because it took them 24 hours to come out and say, well, for that Borussia Dortmund penalty call, even if they went to the monitor, it wouldn't have been given because Erling Haaland was offside in the build-up. Now, Archie mentioned this yesterday. I was like, well, surely that would have just kind of annulled everything. It would have just calmed everybody down and we wouldn't have been in this situation. He said no, because that was a number of incidents that we saw in which Borussia Dortmund felt persecuted. That's a little bit... it's a bit easy for Dortmund to say, isn't it? I don't think anyone who watched that match thought, oh my goodness, this ref is very much pro-Munich and very much against Borussia Dortmund, or am I wrong?
Well, I didn't feel that way. As I said, I think there were debatable decisions, but not wrong decisions in the game. Now, I've spoken to a host of Dortmund fans since that match, and they feel aggrieved. And if it's your team, you probably do. I mean, it's natural as a football fan. You see a decision that you might think is 50-50 or 60-40, and it goes against your team, you get quite worked up. And there were two big penalty decisions in the game. I happen to think that it was correct, and the DFB have backed up Felix Zwayer, talking about the Hummers handball. And the other one, well, as you said, it's a moot point now, and it would have been very helpful to Felix Zwayer if he'd had that information, because he gave a number of interviews, and that's transparency for you. In many countries, referees don't give interviews after the games to explain their decisions, but he did, and he didn't make reference to the offside with Haaland because, of course, he didn't know about it. But it is an absolute fact that if that had gone to VAR, it didn't, that other penalty decision, that penalty claim, had it gone to VAR, it would have been a moot point because there was offside against Haaland.
Archie and Steve, you were butting heads yesterday about that Hummels handball. Derek, you felt it was the right decision. Are there many in Germany who feel that it wasn't a handball?
Well, again, you can sort of go back and forth on it. The more you look at it, the more you see that, yeah, there was handball, which the referee picked up again with. And look at that position of the arm. Is that a natural position? Now, Dortmund have tried to argue that there were all sorts of factors at play, that Thomas Müller was putting off Mats Hummels, that he was stumbling, and therefore he's maybe allowed to have his arm in that position. But, you know, I think that most referees nowadays would give that. And, you know, you could also say it was how VAR is supposed to be used. Again, we come back to the fact that if you're a Dortmund fan, you don't like it. I wouldn't like it if it were my team. but I don't think you can say that the referee got that hopelessly wrong.
It's a slight shame that we've been talking about officials for the last 48 hours, which has maybe overshadowed what was a cracking game and a great advert for the Bundesliga, Derek.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, by the way, because, yeah, we have been talking for the most part about these decisions, about these big incidents, and it's natural to do that. But this was maybe the best Dortmund-Bayern game I can remember in 5 or 6 years. Certainly up there with the very best matches involving these two sides, and it was gripping. And I do think, by the way, that in the first half especially, Zwayer, the referee, actually contributed to that. There were only 3 fouls, and he let quite a lot go, even in the second half. And both teams really went for it. And funnily enough, I never really had the feeling that Bayern were going to lose, even though Dortmund came back really strongly, that goal that we saw from Erling Haaland. But a lot of players at the peak of their powers. I will say as well, a lot of mistakes, and we do sometimes need mistakes in a big game to add to the entertainment value. But this had everything. It was just drama, heaps on drama.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.